What's up everyone? I've been seeing a lot of people ask what the best settings are, and I figured I'd make a quick video covering all of mine because I don't consider mine to be the best, but they have gotten me a pretty high rank in Rocket League, so maybe they could help some of you guys out. So, enough talk. Let's jump over to training real quick and we can kind of get in a little bit about why I use each one. Okay, so a lot of this first page is kind of just personal preference. Text and voice chat, all that. I recommend, voice off, because voice chat's not the best in this game. Crossplot, totally up to you. These are kind of really dependent on your internet situation. I found that high works best for me. Default on this. All these are just kind of up to you mostly on this one. Okay, so here, I definitely recommend no camera shake for sure. If you use this, your shots are going to be a little bit shaky at times because your camera will shake whenever you hit it and whenever you're landing. So if you land and hit the ball like pretty close together, it's going to be like a really shaky screen. So definitely don't recommend that. Field of view, I definitely like 110 because it lets you see more of the field. You can see if you zoom in, it just narrows down the sides there. So 110. I've seen a lot of people switch to 109. They say it gets rid of the kind of a fisheye effect. I don't really notice it, and I've placeboed myself into thinking that 110 is the absolute best, so I keep mine there. Distance, definitely up to you. I would say don't keep it too far away, as it'll make your car really small and kind of hard to control. But also don't keep it too close, because you're kind of limiting your field vision if you get too close. So find a nice middle ground. I found that somewhere between 200 is like really short, but 200 to 300 or so, maybe a little bit above 300, depending on how your stiffness is, should work. I personally use 260 though. I just find that it's a nice distance from, and whenever I boost, it doesn't get too far away. But again, it's totally up to whatever feels best to you. Height 100 for me. I've seen a lot of people use 90. Forky is one of them that I know uses it. I just can't do 90. It just feels too close to the ground for me. I don't know. I can see like why they like it. It does like feel nice, but I just feel like it's too close to the ground for me. Angle, I mess with this one often. It's usually somewhere between 3, 4, and 5. I don't really go 5 too often, but I do use it from time to time, but usually 4 to 3 I like to use. This one is definitely more of a subjective one. It doesn't really alter the feeling too much, but it definitely does to a degree. Especially if you go like crazy with it, then you get to see everything here, but I feel like your car control would be rough, or maybe not. Okay, so stiffness. This one is one of the ones that will affect you the most. For a time, I was on 1 because Yukio made the switch, and I saw him popping off with them. I tried it, and I loved it. But then I hit a rut not too long ago, and I just couldn't figure out why the game wasn't feeling good to me anymore, so I lowered it slightly, and I found a lot of success with 80. I found that some people like a really loose camera feel. I just can't do it. I just don't feel accurate when the screen's shaking this much. I've always had more success with a higher stiffness. I think 1, I don't know, you might find success with it, but I found just under 1 tends to be a sweet spot. Okay, so swivel speed, I used to always just max this out and not care about it. I thought, look as quick as you can. But I found like when I'm in game and I need to look just a little bit and not do like that, and it's not the best idea to have your sensitivity all the way up. So I've been fidgeting with it, and I found that around this tends to be the best for me. I can look where I want to accurately and quickly, and not have any issues with it. But it's just whatever feels best to you as far as how you can turn your stick. Okay, transition speed's another one that's gonna really change the way that your game feels. I was on 1 for a while, but I found that it feels really slow. And I guess watching pro players Twitch streams probably did that to me. And I couldn't go too high though, because that just feels, you're doing a lot of looking back and forth. It's just, I don't know, it feels like I'm gonna have a seizure. So 1.20 feels like a nice middle ground where it's quick, but it doesn't feel like it's, you know, a slug either. Okay. Onto controls. So we'll go with my bindings first. So the only controls that I actually change off of the default would be my boost. I've moved it to, I use a PS4 controller, but it's gonna show Xbox buttons. Well, it's LB for Xbox, but it's L1 for PS4. And let's see, I believe arrow, no, that's the same. Yeah, I think that's all I changed. I have my scoreboard on circle or B for Xbox, and oh, and I have arrow right. I have that bound, and that's the only things I've changed off of a default. Everything else is the same. Okay, so on to my sensitivity. So I've always used the same exact for steering and aerial. I feel like if you change it, you know, some people, they have success with that, but I feel like having them the same feeling both in air and ground is the best for staying consistent. I don't know, some people may feel different about that. That's just how I personally feel. 2.70 might be like really high for some people to use. This one's super subjective. Just fiddle with this often, and I found that if the game starts feeling sluggy at times, you know, if you get the heavy car feeling, try altering these settings just slightly, like bumping it up usually. You might find that it'll change the way your game feels pretty good. Went with a 0.06 dead zone. Anything higher than this, I think it might be a placebo to myself, but anything higher than this just feels like I have input lag. And anything lower than this, if I have a bad like camera stick on my controller, then I get really bad camera shake. So I found right here to be the best like middle ground for both. Dodge dead zone 0.80. I had to go with a really high dodge dead zone because I was getting way too many accidental backflips and stuff. I think that might be from a bad like controller stick that I have right now. I have a pretty old controller, but I did have to go with a higher one, and it has helped tremendously with that. I do time to time like just double jump and not flip when I mean to, but it's cut back on my accidental backflips tremendously, so the higher ones definitely worked out. Controller vibration, I've never had this on. Turned it off from like pretty early on. This one, I know a few pros, like I think maybe Kronovi, some of the older pros, they use the hold mode. I would never do this. Toggle just feels like it's so much easier. Definitely recommend toggle. Push to talk, definitely recommend that, or else it's just gonna, if you have voice chat enabled, it's just gonna spew your mic all over the game, and the voice chat is horrible. Okay. Interface, all this super subjective. I like to go with a, you know, I don't like to do 100. It just feels like it makes everything, you know, too large. It affects the boost and the ball cam like message in the bottom there. So I like to lower it so it doesn't take up quite, you know, so much space. You know, now you have more screen to see with. Display scale, totally up to you. Just I don't know if anyone ever changes this one really. Nameplate scale, not a bad idea to turn this one up a little bit from its default 100. I found that having the nameplates bigger allows me to at all times, like even at a quick glance, see like where my opponents are. So not a bad idea to turn this one up a little bit. If you go too big, the nameplates definitely get lock and vision territory. So I found going one above the default's pretty good. I've never messed with this. I actually don't know what this does, but I'm just gonna leave it on default. Match notifications, this is gonna be like all the messages that'll pop up. I think this is for your like the things that you do as well, like if you get a hat trick or a turtle goal, stuff like that, or clear, you know, anything that'll pop up on your screen. I'll leave mine on all because I'm just used to seeing those things pop up whenever I do certain things. I turn these off because if it's lagging enough, I'm gonna know, and I found those connector like little connection icons to be pretty distracting. And sometimes they would pop up and my game wouldn't feel any different than I was used to, so just turn them off and my game never, you know, I never placebo myself into thinking that it feels bad. Colorblind, that's pretty subjective. I force these because I don't like seeing crazy colors whenever I play, and I don't know, it just feels like it throws my game off. I force these so it's always just the default colors, even if I party up with someone in a club and we go against another club and it changes everything. Turn these off so I'm not distracted during the game. Team color boost meter, I turn these off because I'm just way too used to the default. They do look nice and I enjoy it whenever I watch other people play and they have these on, but I'm placeboed myself too bad into thinking that I need the default ones. Metric, up to you. Ball cam indicator, that's just that little message that pops up in the bottom left. I actually didn't know that you could turn that off. So totally up to you if you want it off or not. I'm gonna actually try to leave it off. I didn't know that was a thing. Pretty cool. Ball arrow, definitely recommend having that one on though. That one is that little arrow that'll pop up and give you an idea of where the ball is if you are in a ball cam. Definitely a huge disadvantage to have that off, I think. Performance graphs, I just leave this off. I think it takes up too much space, for no reason. I don't really look at that while I'm playing, so keep it off. Okay, on to the video settings. So I personally use kind of lower settings. You can see kind of low here. You have high render and high quality textures on, but I kind of keep everything else on performance and a lot of these off. Honestly, what I've found is a lot of these are personally up to you. I definitely recommend no motion blur, maybe no bloom and no depth of field. I just feel like that's kind of unnecessary effects. But what I've personally found is no matter what kind of settings you have, is if you have dynamic shadows on, I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like it adds a whole new feeling to the game. It kind of makes it look like the game just looks kind of different. I'm not sure, it's probably just me. I'm probably just overthinking that setting, but the ball and everything just kind of looks different when that setting is on versus when it's off. And all these, none of the other settings really have that effect. I don't know, maybe I'm not sure if it'll show up on video well, the change, but try it out in game though. Just no matter what settings you have, if it's high quality or low, just mess with the dynamic shadows option and see if that changes the way the game feels in a good way for you. Audio settings, definitely just completely up to you. I like to have the ambient and crowd volume all the way, kind of down where I don't really hear it that much. I personally like to have a lower overall volume as well. That's just me though. I like to listen to music when I play, so the game sound isn't too important to me. And all of these are just dependent on your personal setup. And then just whatever you want for your chat settings. So hopefully I helped clear up any questions you had about specific settings or controls, but if I didn't cover anything in depth enough, feel free to comment and I will definitely answer back as quick as possible. Thanks for making it this far if you did, and I will talk to you in the next one.